From the culture-shifting minds of 45 Lemons comes That Part, the podcast your mama might have made if they let her be free. This is a space made by two women who grew up on mixtapes and landlines. Black women who've lived enough to laugh at the chaos and still care about what comes next for all of us. Hosted by Verta Maloney and Naa Yirenkyi, That Part is where culture, creativity, and systems meet real life. Each week, they unpack the mess and the magic of being as leaders, creators, mothers, and humans trying to thrive. You can catch That Part every Tuesday at 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. Eastern on Dream Vision's 7 Radio. Want to know more about who Verta and Naa are and what they're building? Head to www.45lemons.com. And remember, the truth isn't always in the summary. It's often in that part. Welcome back to That Part with 45 Lemons. I'm Verta.
And I am Naa.
And we are back with our brilliant guests. We're in season 2, full bloom of That Part, where we are still building, still learning, and choosing conversations that matter deeply to us. It's the same energy as usual, and same heart, maybe a little bit of new energy. I don't know, but we're doing things, and we get to have our fourth person that we're going to be in conversation with today.
I think the energy changes week on week, depending on how quickly I am running down the stairs at least for me. But we do want to thank all of our listeners. We love hearing from you. So every DM, everyone who shows up and listens to us, follow us. We are grateful for the time that you take to, kind of hang out with us for 40 minutes or so once a week or once a month or whenever you feel like it.
Whenever you feel like it. Maybe they listen like 7 times a week. Who knows? Like, it's just so much. I'm sure it's not, because I could not listen that long. But no. It's been really great. And this season's premise belongs to the Black women in our lives, our very own special people and celebrities. And we asked each of them, if you were on a podcast and you could talk about anything that you wanted, what would you choose? And every single answer has told us something really true about who they are and have just like really hit in certain places consistently, at least for me.
And I think it's also given us, these little glimpses to think about ourselves. Mm-hmm. And I hope that's doing that for our listeners too. Each topic might hit somebody one way or another. I think, again, in hearing back from people, whether it's Marquita, Jihan, or Darnice, we've had just tremendous support around what you are getting from those conversations we're having. So we are happy to continue that. And as you know, we do not prep anything in advance.
We prep a little bit. A little.
A little. I mean, enough so that it's not a hot mess. But in terms of asking our guest, yes, exactly what they're going to say, or what they're going to do, we want to have real life responses to what they're saying, and in the moment, conversation.
And today, we talk a lot about relationships. No, I'm just thinking about today's topic where, we're talking about generosity, and specifically generosity as it relates to relationships, but it caused me a lot of pause, right? I had to roll around with that. I think there are words that we use a lot, but do we really even think about deeply what they actually mean, right? Because we did a little bit of that, and we're just generosity.
Is there something that it brought up for you? Like what generosity is, for you?
I think that generosity, I feel like it means giving money or time or resources, and that's a part of it, right? I think we think of it sometimes even more transactional than even the definition likely was ever intended to be, right? And so for me, it is something that I've just been figuring out based on when LaShawnna put this topic on the table. It was well, what does it really mean for me to have generosity in a relationship? And what does it mean in both directions?
Yeah.
but also when there's not just one direction, the cycle, if you will,
Right.
of generosity. Yeah.
Yeah. I I mean, I think that in terms of putting yourself out there and being vulnerable is what generosity sometimes gives,
Yeah.
because when you are able to give freely,
Yeah.
and not everybody can take that.
No.
Not everybody feels like if you are just doing that, you're not doing it for a reason.
Yeah.
And I think I often find myself in that place. I do think I'm a generous person, both like in lots of different ways, but certainly if I like you, because if I don't like you, then maybe I'm just not talking to you. But
Or yeah, yeah. I think
what
the
were you
thing I
going to
was going
say?
to add, well, it's the also about letting people in. And
Yeah.
there's the what you can provide or how your generosity of spirit might like exude or give out, but there is this part of letting people in. And when you said vulnerable, that's really what came up for me because there is a lot of vulnerability involved with not just sharing this stuff, but how do you let people in? I feel that I can oftentimes be really good at helping and supporting others, but sometimes that helping and supporting, while it is one aspect of generosity, I don't always, find the best ways to maybe let other people in on what it is maybe that's going on for me or how they can help
Yeah.
the thing that I'm doing, right? Like, and people
Yeah.
pleaser, caring, empathetic Verta can sometimes get caught in that trap. I'm going to call it a trap today.
The trap of
Just
not letting
giving,
people in.
yes, yeah,
Yes, not being
yeah,
vulnerable.
yeah,
And some of that must come from, experiences where when you have let people in, you've gotten
yeah,
hurt
yeah.
and or things have happened that were out of your control. And
Hmm.
so I'm excited to hear about the expansion of that definition from LaShawnna.
Yeah.
Um, the not issue, but like the understanding of how we can give, at what points is it giving too much? I don't think that's what LaShawn is going to talk about. I'm just talking
We
about,
don't know. We'll see.
myself. And I think we've been talking this whole time about being in our 50s and what you give up or what you don't, or how much you give or how much you don't.
Hmm.
And I do think as you get older and as you have more experience, sometimes your generosity changes.
Hmm.
And it is, if that's even the right, terminology for it,
Yeah.
or it becomes more specific and more um uh like focused on
I think,
where you
yeah.
want it to be.
And I would say it also just evolves, right? Because so I've been, my therapist and I had this conversation this week, as we do every 2 weeks. But this week in particular, there was a part of it where we were talking about, I cannot remember the psychological term for it. I'll find it because I have it written on a piece of paper. I can literally see the piece of paper over there. I'm just going to get the piece of paper.
Okay, go get the piece of paper.
Okay. So it is psychosocial development theory we were talking about, but from the perspective of and how this relates is that what generosity may look like in your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, your 50s,
Mhm.
your 60s, right? It's just that each stage it can look different. And so what you're
Yeah,
talking about, but it also looks different because of the either the life experiences you have or have not had. And thinking about the things that I've accomplished that are extremely meaningful to me are often rooted in some form of
form of generosity.
generosity. Yeah. And that what that looks like I said, what that looked like when I was 20, versus what it looks like now. And almost like what you're even capable of receiving based on your experience, not just an age thing. I think it's very much based on your experience, right? And so, yeah, I just think about that. Who shared an opportunity with me that I might not have had, right? Who gave me
Yeah,
advice that maybe I was like, yeah, I don't believe that. And then, 10 years later, I'm like, okay, yes, that was a very good, that was a very
right.
good
It
piece of
was
advice. I'm
useful.
able to receive it now, or it was useful, or what have you. Um, or who made an introduction to someone that is just like still in my life, whatever that
Yeah.
relationship is, right? So that this was really interesting. I think it's Eric Erickson is the person that is like attributed with this thing, but it has me, I was just really thinking a lot about it. And literally, this is my little paper of notes that I had it written on. So
That brings me, there was something happened this week. It was actually last week, and I called you
mm,
and I
did my
said,
phone ring?
well, I
Because
mean,
how that phone be acting.
sometimes your
Apple's
phone
really
does
trying to get
not
me to
ring.
buy a new one, but
And P.S., I always think you're just ignoring my call. And I was like, what on earth? I've called her and I've left, no, I never leave a message.
exactly. But yeah.
Right. But, I've called and nothing. But it was, and I'm gonna not name the people, although last week we were talking about naming names, but it's not negative. I'm just not gonna put their business out there except
I
to
think they
talk
would,
about,
okay,
their
they would
business.
appreciate that, I think.
Yes, yeah, I think they would. I'm being generous with that. No, but I would love to have both of these women on this podcast, one of these days. But they're two Black women, and one of them just had a lot happening in her life with family. And she was taking, we talk about the sandwich generation
Yeah.
where we're in our 50s, we have children who are, late teens, early 20s, and then you've got parents who are aging.
Yeah.
And so there's a different generosity that I think as Black women we bring
Yeah.
into the space. And
Mhm.
so you're doing the most with your children, you're doing the most with your parents, you're doing the most with,
Mhm.
your work. And that causes you to also be less generous with yourself.
Yeah.
And
Right.
so, the specific thing that happened was that this person, friend of mine, was in the middle of that sandwich thing, helping out her aging mother, helping out her brother who had like an emergency surgery, and then she was
Hmm.
going to go to work.
Hmm.
And then like leave work and go out of town to
Yeah.
go, back to take care of them, to bring them back
Hmm.
to the city. It was so many things. And
Yeah.
I
All the
sent
things.
her a message. It was like three of us in a group chat. And I sent her a message and I said, listen, what you would say to me is take the time. Like you
Mhm.
don't have to come back to work. And we all feel the pressure that we have to
Yes.
do this. We have to come back to work. We have to be there for everyone. We have to be there for everything.
Huh.
And I said that to her. I don't even know if she responded. And the other friend
Hmm.
in the group chat said something similar. And then I
Hmm.
called her and I was like, how do we help ourselves? When you are this person who
Hmm.
is giving in all these, being generous in all
Yeah.
these different parts of their
Hmm.
lives, but then it takes away from you being generous with yourself. And
Yeah. And that's
so,
it's a huge disservice. And it's almost as if at some point you're not going to be able to give to anyone, right? And this is all backed up by
yeah,
research as well, right? Pew Research has done, and I have a couple of research points, but I don't know if all of them are necessary. But this one in particular ties exactly to what you're saying, where it's research on social capital, and it consistently finds that Black women carry a disproportionate share of emotional and caregiving labor in their communities, um, but then
mm,
remain among the least likely to ask for support in return. Like literally everything you were experiencing is like now, you know what I mean? Like it can be
yeah,
backed up by this. And then you get to a point where whether it's you've got some type of autoimmune, you're sick, you're like all of this is going to come back. And so
yeah,
there is this whole thing about generosity in relationships, but also like generosity in relationship to yourself. Right.
right,
So those like I've just been thinking about all that stuff when this topic came up. So I was really excited about it because I think it's really important for um it's just important to consider and to like name it and to have more open conversations, even like that group chat, regardless of if,
yeah.
we'll check in and see if she responded, but like, right. But there's
Well,
moments
I think she
where
eventually responded, just not to that.
okay.
And
But
that's
like,
okay,
yeah, and
because,
that's okay. But
yeah,
I don't know if you're ever in a situation where people generally will, not generally, will like specifically be like, Verta, how can I help you? And I don't know. I'd be
mm,
like, it's a trick
right.
question.
like you're saying for you, somebody
Yeah.
will ask and
And
you're
that's
like,
a
I
very
don't know.
generous
And I
gesture. And
usually
I'd be like,
say,
mm-hmm,
I'm okay.
mm-hmm,
So, on that note, we're going to take a quick break and then we will pick up again on the other side and we will bring LaShawnna in to join us as well. So, we will see you in a moment.
Ever hear someone speak the truth and all you can say is, that part? Meet That Part, a podcast created by two women who grew up on mixtapes and landlines. Black women who've lived enough to laugh at the chaos and still care about what comes next for all of us. Hosted by 45 Lemons co-founders Verta, Maloney, and Naa Yirenkyi, That Part is a bold space for truth-telling, culture shifting, and creative healing. It's the podcast your mama might have made if they let her be free. Tune in every Tuesday at 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. Eastern on Dream Vision 7 Radio Network. You can also get to know more about Naa and Verta and what 45 Lemons is building at www.45lemons.com. Got a story or something you want to unpack in the fix? Send it to thatpart@45lemons.com. Because some truths aren't whispered, they're claimed. That part.
Are you searching for a way to help create global change? Dream Vision 7 Radio Network's vision is to have an eclectic group of radio hosts dedicated to educating, enlightening, and helping humankind with positive messages and tools that enhance lives using different modalities and programs. If you would like to join our team and help illuminate the universe, call Deborah at 508-226-1723 or Deborah at dreamvision7radio.com. This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Find us in all the places, 45lemons.com, email us, do all the things, but you can do that. Today, we are so excited because our guest is Dr. LaShawnna Harris. She's a strategist, educator, entrepreneur, relationship builder. I don't know what it is that she does not do, with more than 20 years of experience helping leaders and organizations move from chaos to clarity, myself included. And I met LaShawnna. She was a principal. I was her coach, and I think she wasn't too sure about me at the beginning, but here we are many, many years later after her career spent transforming K-12 systems, supporting organizational leaders. And I'm going to say, I will call you Dr. Harris because you are Dr. Harris. We're not trying to take that away from you, but I'm also going to just say LaShawnna has made an intentional shift towards helping women leaders, entrepreneurs, and social impact organizations build the relationships that fuel opportunity and impact. And through her trust building network, Bond, so excited to talk more
Is
about
that what
that.
it's called? Yeah, it is, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's teaching practical practices that help people cultivate authentic relationships and connections, and that don't just expand their network. This is not about networking. They deepen them. She's also the founder of the Synergy Fund. Did I say it correctly?
Synergy Fund.
Synergy Fund. It's a nonprofit that's expanding access and hands-on learning opportunity for girls in K-8. We're so excited to talk about trust and generosity in relationships and community. So thank you for being with us. Is there anything that you would say that I missed if you were to just introduce yourself to the people?
I think the only thing you missed is that I'm a mom of two girls that have a huge gap, and I'm a nan, so I have a little
What do
one, a
you
little granddaughter,
what do you
She's a
mean a
grandmama.
huge gap? What's the huge gap?
13 years.
Okay. And by the way, also grandmama and
I
not
know,
looking
right?
like it. I'm not even gonna
Let's
ask the age. I'm not right.
listen.
Yeah,
Listen.
all
Nan is
the
nanning.
fabulousness.
Nan is nanning.
Thank you,
Wow.
thank you.
I love it.
So we're so happy to have you here. So welcome to that part. And you've spent more than 20 years transforming organizations and made this kind of intentional shift. Um, when we asked you,
Mhm.
if you were on a podcast and you could talk about anything, you chose this subject. We would love to know why.
So I chose generosity in relationships because I feel like the mutual support that is necessary is often overlooked, especially in the spaces that I've been in. And so I spent a lot of time working with leaders, coaching school principals. I was a school principal. And although you're surrounded by people, you often are working in
Mhm.
silos. And then as an entrepreneur, supporting school leaders and then working with vendors who work with schools, also a lot of solopreneurs who are doing a whole lot of things, juggling things, but just doing it alone. And like at the 11th hour in graduate school, I ditched my first topic and was like, I have to understand, why won't people ask for help? They know
Yeah.
people, right? They have networks, they have
Mhm.
relationships, but they're not asking for help. So like what is getting in the way of, people just making the ask? And I interviewed 12 Black entrepreneurs and got to ask them questions about just like how they learned to be like what it meant to be Black or that they were actually Black. We talked
Mhm.
about trust, and then like why when they mobilize their networks, and then when they don't, and why don't they? And so
What did
since
you
Oh,
then,
find? Yes. What did you
I
find?
want
Like,
to,
what
I
were the
know. We're
things
like,
that
wait a
like came
minute.
up that you were like, wow, you know what I mean? Because I'm sure that there were some common themes.
yeah, so some of the common themes were, again, people weren't quite sure who to trust because they'd been burnt in the past. Some
Yes.
people had learned from just being a Black woman or a Black man that, you can't trust everybody and I don't know who to trust. And some of it was a big part of it that stuck out to me was that people don't want to be a burden. They don't
Mm,
want, and if they don't feel like they have something that they can immediately give, they don't want to ask for something because it's like, I feel like I give you something, I'm gonna owe you, and I don't have
right.
anything, whether that's real or perceived, in
Yeah.
terms of what they owe. Hmm.
That's interesting, right? So, like, one question I had was like, is there a version of generosity that actually works against us? And I almost feel like you're talking a little bit about the things like where we give so much that we disappear from the equation, right? So that was interesting. I want to dig into because I feel like that's something that works against us very
Hmm.
specifically, feeling like we're going to be a burden to someone else, right? But then we put those shoes on and we were like, why did you ask me?
Right.
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 So are there other things that you learned that actually worked against people? You know what I mean? Like, so that's one of them for sure. Was there anything else that came
So another thing that worked
some
against
thought?
people, yeah, so one of the things that works against people is wanting to asking, and then not being able to like navigate when people don't do it exactly the way you want them to do it.
I'm like taking all the notes.
No, that's like
Wanting
so
to
real.
ask.
Hmm.
So it's like you want to ask someone, and like I want to ask you, and then I ask you, but I have in my mind a really specific way that the ask needs to be delivered, which, by the way,
Mhm.
I have seen that actually play out. And so, yeah, talk more about that.
Yeah. And what do you recommend? Like, what's a way around that or through that, I should say?
So one of the ways, well, not just one of the ways. So I have these 5 practices that are part of Bond. So people are actually building their skills over time and their
Mm,
level of comfort with engaging with people. I think, when you're trying to turn these on, these asks and these opportunities on like light switches, they don't work. Right. So the 5 practices, just being in spaces, visibility, like curiosity, like what do you know about people before you start asking? Right? Like
mm,
what?
mm.
Like these? Like you just can't just turn it on. Are you generosity is like it's both ways. Like we're doing for each other, but not necessarily expecting anything and return right away. And also participation. Are we building together? So I know you're capable. That's another piece that came out. It's like, I'm not asking you if I don't think you're going to do it, or you're going to do it right. So, are we participating in things together so that I actually see that you're credible? Then the other piece is like amplification. Do I see you or hear you say others' names in rooms that they're not in? Or do I think that you're going to talk about me in good ways when I'm not there? And so just being able to practice those things over and over again in the journal that I have that goes along with Bond, it's like, you being a little nerdy about it, tracking it. I love a PDSA
You
cycle.
do. She
So
always
we
puts
go,
somebody through a
Wait, what
process.
is that? What is a
so
PDSA
we
plan?
go,
Yeah.
so we go, so we're gonna plan out what we're gonna do. We're gonna do it. We're gonna study it and we're gonna act, right? And then we're gonna,
Okay.
after we study, we're gonna move ahead, right? So really, so we're gonna, again, it's part of practicing it. What's the feedback you get? What's the data, reflecting on it, and then adjusting? Because you might do some things that are not impactful in the moment, but what did you learn from it so you could do it differently the next time? And so that's why I call them practices. It's not just a framework, it's literal things that you are doing to build your muscle to be in community with people that's authentic, that's deep, but then also leads to impact and collective impact. Like, I'm not just doing what I'm doing for myself, it's what does it look like for us to get better at getting better together.
I'm going to ask again. Can you do the PDSA plan?
Sure. Plan,
The first one.
do,
Do. What's that?
study,
Study.
and
And
then
then,
act.
okay. And act. Okay. Plan, do, study, and act.
Mhm.
All right, everybody, it'll be like you're the teacher. Plan,
Have you
do,
done
study, act.
PDSA?
Right. Have you done PDSA
Have you
today?
done that
I'm
today?
gonna use that with my
And I
kids.
think it applies to so many things. So one thing I'll say about you, LaShawn, like when I met you, you were, well, I met you in a program where you were training to become a principal, but then when I came to your school in Queens, because you were a principal in Queens, I remember, and I would argue that you were not very much about asking and letting people in at that time. You were a principal, I got this on lock. And I was like, okay, how am I going to, because and you did, like, it's not even to say that you did not have all
Yeah,
of
yeah,
these things
yeah.
in place, right? And so I'm really curious about how PDSA or any other thing that had to do with generosity, or even the things that you named about the 13 or so, Black leaders that you talked to have shown up in you, and what you have been doing. How have you evolved to a place where you have these things, visibility, curiosity? Like, what is it? What has it been for you?
Got you. I mean, I'm a work in progress, right? And I think the research came about because I was that person. I was the entrepreneur, solopreneur. I've been an entrepreneur for 8 years now, but also very often feeling like I'm in a silo and like I just don't know who to reach out to, or I'm on the other end of being the one who everybody calls for help, and
Mm-hmm.
then I don't have anything left for myself, and or I resent over time that everybody comes to me for everything, right? And so I think you all posted something on LinkedIn the other day. It was like, what are you giving up? And I was like,
Yes.
being the one who answers everybody's things.
I'm not carrying that no more.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I love that. I want to go back to the things that you learned. And then
Okay.
I'm gonna like get us a little clinical because I kind of want the audience to get so one of the things you learned was when people mobilize their network and when they don't.
Right.
So and the reason they don't is because, say that again.
They don't want to be a burden. And so I think many of us know what it's like to take on more than we can really carry and then just kind of push through. And we don't want to put that on other
Somebody
people.
else.
And so
Okay.
it's a selflessness, but it is detrimental to us
Right.
because you need help no matter what, no matter how capable, how competent, how smart,
Yeah.
trying to do this work alone, whether it's with family, whether it's work, it's just too much to do alone.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Right. And then they know people, but they don't ask. Um, is that the same as the burden thing, or was there? Because I felt that was a little different.
it's a little bit different. It's almost like, if somebody asks you, do you know someone? You could say yes, or you're like, I know of them. Sometimes we know a person, but we don't know them well enough or
Yes.
deep enough to feel comfortable to ask. And those people aren't going to ask you because they don't know what you know and what you're doing.
Right.
Hmm.
And then can you walk us through the 5 practices? You talked about visibility. Is that one practice?
Yeah, one of the practices visibility, being in places that bring you joy, that you want to be in, that you're going to be able to feel comfortable talking to other people in those spaces. I think too often, you hear the conversations about networking. Go to a happy
Yeah.
hour, go to this, and then just don't
Yes.
speak to your spirit. Go to
Mhm.
places and speak to
You're
your
like,
spirit.
no,
Exactly. And I
I
think
don't
that
want
that
that.
visibility thing is also not, some people also just don't like to be highly visible. And I think when you are actually seeking the places that bring you joy where you want to be, then you're not really, it's not about being visible. It's about being in a place that I feel joy.
Right.
And that, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then participation is one.
Participation is another one where you are engaging in shared activities, so that you can demonstrate your competence, and then you can see other people so that you can see who's reliable. So even little things like going to a class where you make something, you get to, be
Mm,
hands-on and you're learning together and you're fumbling around, even if you're brand new at it, you get to
Mm-hmm.
see how people handle those types of challenges, whether or not they're sharers of information, and all those things can kind of happen in this little small tight space
yeah.
that kind of kind of mirror a little bit of being in, say, like fellowships and things like that. So I thought about like a new leaders that we were in, where it's a
Mm-hmm.
fellowship and they create this intentional container or like pressure cooker for you to
Yeah.
get, tight, know who can do what. But I mean, everybody's not going to have, a year and a half to be in a fellowship. So what can you do in 90 minutes to 2 hours to
Yeah.
really get people to start to engage?
Yeah. And I think something that I would always do that's I think it's in the family of it adjacent to this is for if I didn't really know someone well or they made me feel a kind of way but I don't really know them, I would ask them to have lunch or I would be like,
Mhm.
let's go, you know what I mean? So I'm just even that container of like, let's sit in the cafeteria. I don't know if people sitting in cafeterias anymore like that, like, but you know what I mean? Or let's grab a coffee, because then you can participate in a different way with that person, right? And get to know them and understand maybe a little bit more about who they are. Okay, amplification I think was the next one.
Right.
Right. Amplification is being able or going out and speaking people's names in rooms that they're not in. So being able to make those connections and those referrals and just shouting people out when they're doing good things, it keeps you, thinking
Mhm.
about other people, but also helps, just spread the word. And so going back to what you were saying
Yes.
about those coffees, like I hosted an event for our fundraiser, but it was an R&B bingo. And in that that
Girl, let's
event,
get it. Okay. I'm trying to go to R&B bingo. Come
there
on.
were so many
90s.
opportunities built in for people to talk to new people. It's like you don't come to anything that I have and don't walk away with 3 or 4 connections, right? And then at the end, everybody wrote a letter to somebody, a little card to somebody that they met, just thanking them for whatever they
Right.
got from that experience. And then I mailed them. So I got
Mhm.
them a week or a couple weeks later. But just
Right.
things of being really intentional about the the opportunities for people to get to know each other and to
Yeah.
actually
The
shine and be
connection, the
themselves. Yep.
opportunity to connect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And then what are the last two?
Curiosity was one, and I don't know if I got the other one. Curiosity.
Curiosity and we talked about generosity,
Oh,
right? So
generosity.
generosity, right? Exactly, generosity. So a curiosity to be able to deepen your relationships with people, you asking what people are doing and listening,
Yes.
right? Like really being curious about what they have going on. What's working for them, what isn't working for them. But I don't think too often we have an ear, like a real ear for that. And so, like
Yeah.
you said, people say, "How you doing?" I'm okay. Because if you're not used to people
You're like,
really listening,
Right. Just keep it moving. Keep
I'm
it pushing.
fine.
I'm really
I'm
not, but
fine.
I'm good.
right, right, right. And when you find that person who really wants to hear,
Right.
you're just like,
Yes.
the weight just comes off your
Yeah.
shoulders.
Or even notices, right? They might say, well, are you really, right? They're really asking the question to get an answer. And the curiosity one, I just think we're also living in an era where reading books, being curious about things, using our brains in these like connected ways are taking away from some of our curiosity,
Hmm.
and our ability to be curious, right? Because it is actually, I think that being curious is something you must be continue to cultivate.
Wait, say that again. I didn't understand.
So
So,
I feel like we
yeah.
live in a very digital time. And people are not like, and even like something as simple as reading a book, like it's just a different set of things that you have to, and then it sends you down different paths, right? If you don't know what this word means, or you don't, or you connect it to another book and you're just curious enough to keep going. But things come at us so fast now. It's like, these really quick snippets. It's, 10-second video here, 10-second video here. And I think it dulls our curiosity. And so I just think these things that you're naming are these very intentional things that we can keep doing in order to cultivate curiosity in ourselves and in others, because I think curiosity is a practice as well. I don't think that you know what I mean? It's kind of like a way of living or a way of being. So
Yeah.
That's
And
what
tapping into that, because so often we're, like you said, we're just moving and moving at such a rapid pace. It's like, be inquisitive, right? Like, just learn to ask the questions.
And then generosity, which is what, so talk about that.
And when I think about generosity, it is multi-directional. It is collaboration. It's not one-sided, and although it doesn't always happen, everybody's getting the benefit in that moment. You're feeling other people and they're feeling you as well. But like, that is a practice that we have to develop, because too often, and I know I've had relationships where, unintentionally I'm pouring out completely and I don't even recognize that that friend or that partnership that I'm in is not pouring into me. And so this type of generosity is really being aware of who you are and how you are feeling in those interactions. And there's a section in the journal that talks about that. Like, there are times where those connections are not serving you and they may not need to continue. And I'm very much aware of that, because like I said earlier, dealing with some of the family things, and when you're the reliable person, people continue to pile and they don't realize it. And then when I started to feel resentment for things that I used to love to do, I had to take a step back.
And so,
Go ahead now.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No,
You go.
no, you go. No, really, you go.
So just digging
I'm
a little
being
bit
generous.
into
Just
digging
joking.
into your, like, it sounds like there were moments for you professionally and personally where this theme of generosity kind of came out. And so I'd love to hear more if you're willing to dive into that. If there's a specific example that you think would resonate with people, right? If someone's listening and you like, they might just be listening to it. Okay, I've written down all the little acronyms. I'm gonna do the things, da da da. But if we were to like really hone in on generosity, is there something you want to share that would maybe push people to be like, you know what, that they might connect with?
So I'll give a family example, because they probably won't listen.
You gonna
My
make me listen.
my
I'm gonna
my
get your
I
little
not
cannot
listening.
wait for
I'm gonna
them to
get your
hear this.
phone
Cannot
and be
wait.
like,
Cannot wait.
hey, are you related
Cannot wait. Go
to
for it. Do
Dr.
it.
Harris? Listen to this
I
podcast.
know.
So I am the oldest granddaughter and the oldest daughter in a family, and
Okay.
my grandparents, who I'm very close to, are aging and their health has been declining. But I didn't realize growing up that I was designated the fourth child, not the granddaughter.
I see.
And
Ah.
so, not, unbeknownst
Yes,
to
yes, yes, yes,
me,
yes, yes. Unspoken.
I right, I became the one who everybody thought knew how to do everything. And I was like, well, if you gave it to me, I'll figure it out, even though I don't. And so it just became so heavy that I didn't want to be, and I didn't want to be at things. I didn't want people to call me. It just became so heavy that I felt like I was disconnecting from my family. And I realized it's because I didn't have good boundaries.
Right.
And then I didn't know how to ask them for help. And I'm
Yeah.
still working on that. I'm still working on
Yes.
being able to say no. And so, like I say, this whole like bond is a living work in progress of myself.
Yeah.
Because I when I felt resentment, I was like, "There's something. This is not right. I don't want to feel
Yeah.
this way. I love being with my grandparents, but like,
Exactly.
I live 2.5 hours away now."
Yeah.
You like boundaries.
Boundary.
Right. And do not disturb on the phone.
Right. Right. No,
Yeah.
those
And
are
that's
important.
being generous with yourself, because now you had said
Yeah.
something at the top when we were talking a little bit. I think you did. Who knows? Maybe you said it when I don't know when it was
No,
said
I
or
did.
if it was, but there is generosity that we have with ourselves and generosity that we then experience with other people, and how those two things complement each other potentially, or how they can actually work against each other. So I appreciate you sharing that example. Yeah, I appreciate that.
Well, we're going to take another break. We will come back with LaShawnna for a few more questions. And I think, well, I was going to ask, but I'll wait. And so
We'll
when we
see you
get
on
back,
the other side.
that's right.
Ever hear someone speak the truth and all you can say is, that part? Meet That Part, a podcast created by two women who grew up on mixtapes and landlines. Black women who've lived enough to laugh at the chaos and still care about what comes next for all of us. Hosted by 45 Lemons co-founders Verta, Maloney, and Naa Yirenkyi, That Part is a bold space for truth-telling, culture shifting, and creative healing. It's the podcast your mama might have made if they let her be free. Tune in every Tuesday at 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. Eastern on Dream Vision 7 Radio Network. You can also get to know more about Naa and Verta and what 45 Lemons is building at www.45lemons.com. Got a story or something you want to unpack in the fix? Send it to thatpart@45lemons.com. Because some truths aren't whispered, they're claimed. That part.
Calling all authors. Have you been considering an audiobook? Well, look no further. Come take advantage of Dream Vision 7 Radio Network's unique in-house audiobook production, which includes benefits and bonuses from our radio station. Let our knowledgeable staff guide you to create the audiobook you've always dreamed of without breaking the bank. Check out our full one-stop service from A to Z, including the ACX process. Schedule a free consultation by calling 508-226-1723. That's 508-226-1723. Or go to dreamvision7radio.com.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.
Welcome back. Once again, find us any place 45 Lemons or the spelling 45lemons.com on socials, all those things. So we're back. And Naa, you had a question for LaShawnna before we left.
Yeah, I wanted to I totally forgot. I know I like to, I am. I really am.
I
But
love
you
how she wrote everything down
I
except for the
did.
question that she had.
I
Because you
did.
know
I
that
wrote
notebook.
everything
It'll come
down
to you. It'll come
except
to you.
for the question. Yes.
So mine is because you've been very much in so much of community, schools, all of it. What do you think Black women understand about generosity and relationships that the broader world is still catching up to?
I think Black women understand that we are our answer.
Mm,
However, we is not just us, Black women, and
mm,
that we cannot carry it for everyone. And I think we have identified that we're not going to. And so we need the rest of the world to catch up with understanding that we includes them.
Oh, I like it. I'm gonna say that. I'm gonna write that down. We
well, you don't
includes
have to write it.
you.
It'll be recorded. I'll send
We listen. I need to write it down. We include you because I'm gonna say that to
Ah.
people. I'll be like, the we that needs to help me includes you.
I think that that's I think that really ties into generosity because it actually ties into the act part of what, of the work too, because there is this generosity, right? And every time we say we, people do assume that we just talking about us. No, we all need to get free. So
Right.
we all got some work to do. I think that there's a generosity of spirit and a generosity of action that is required for that.
Mhm.
So I appreciate that.
Is in terms of the workshops, where if somebody would like to go through these 5 practices, what do they need to do?
They can visit LaShawnaHarris.com and there's a link on the website to register. We have 2 workshops coming up in September, one in person in New York City and one virtual. Yep.
Perfect. I'm super excited. I might join, actually. I'm gonna look to see. And how long are the workshops?
So the virtual one's 90 minutes and the in-person is 2 hours, and they're very interactive. So there's
Yeah.
not a whole lot of me yapping about. You will
Mhm.
be meeting people and
Mhm.
practicing.
No, I love it. And I might bring some people with me because I think this is an important way to find, these generosity for ourselves. And I've been
Mhm.
talking about it for so long with people. I'm always like, what do we do? How do we do it? And so thank you for that. Verta, you were going to say something?
Well, I was just gonna say there's something. So LaShawnna and I did a clarity session a couple months ago, and it's like, it was just to kind of like help me get clear on a project. And I, what I want to say to you is I think that you are so gifted at getting people to clarity. And I don't think it's, oh, and it's never, this is what LaShawnna or Dr. Harris thinks needs to happen. You kind of like frame it in such a way. And I did not know that I would get clarity because I was like, okay, sure, I'll do this. But I did, and I'm still doing it. It's like this kind of you create a space that allows for people to get clear, but also to keep moving to get clearer. So I recommend we're gonna bring our crew, and we're gonna do what we do. And it's been
Listen,
really a
talk about
joy.
Gen X.
Which
All
part?
the
Oh,
whole thing
everything
you just said, we're gonna do what we're going to blah 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 blah. All Bismarck. Oh, who was
on
that?
the
No,
mic.
that's Biggie. That was
Yeah.
a total
Was
Biggie
it?
moment.
Okay.
Yes,
Well, he did
wasn't
it
it?
this weekend. I have no
LaShawn,
idea.
wasn't that Biggie? Okay, it was totally. I'm gonna
Maybe.
bring the song back in a moment so that you can hear yourself back. Love it, LaShawnna. Thank you so much,
Thank you all
and
for having me.
really appreciate it. And so. Um, and we will see you at the workshop.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, that was lovely.
LaShawnna is lovely.
Okay, so
You was
tell
really
me
taking notes though.
what?
Like you were knee deep in
I was like, I mean, look, I don't know if you like literally, okay, you can't even
it.
tell. But yes, I was
Yeah.
definitely taking notes. I mean, I think I have been really talking about how we help each other and
Yeah.
what it is that we do. And I had no idea what
Mhm.
LaShawnna was going to talk about when it came to that. I had never heard of the 5 practices of
Mhm.
Bond and they all resonate because, the visibility, what do you know about people, like what brings you joy, and not in a way that is what brings other people joy that they think it should bring you joy. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so if we could practice that more. I love the amplification because there was something she said in when she first talked about
We know what you mean. Amplification.
amplification. The first time she talked about it, that had to do with what are people saying about you when you're not in the room, and
Yeah.
really trusting that people are caring for you
Yeah.
when they're not there, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
and
when
it
you're
made,
not
yeah,
there.
when you're not there, but also it made me think about how we also, or at least I can tell the amplifiers, and I'm always looking for them. And it's not even just about what they're saying about me. When you're in
Yes,
a room, are they even
love that.
talking about anyone else? Are
Right,
they like taking all the credit for stuff? Or even if it's not about the thing that they did, there's
right.
always like a point where someone might say, hey, I know this great person that you might want to connect with, or
Exactly.
Na's really great at blah, 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 or check
Right.
this out. And so I'm always looking for that. So it was something that was really resonant. And for me, there's this beautiful, I've known LaShawnna for a long time. We met in, I want to say maybe 2008. And it has been beautiful to see her like codify these things that were literally um she personified them. Like as a leader, she did all of these things, right? She may not
Right.
have had the
Right.
words for them back then, none of it, but like
Or
seeing
these
her
specific
evolution,
words, right? Yeah.
it's been really impressive. And that was one thing that really like stayed with me throughout. And I'm really still stuck with generosity of self and um generosity towards ourselves, and especially
Hmm.
as Black women. And I think that that connects to self compassion, right? Because there's a part of that that has to do with it, but also just self love. And what
Yeah.
does it really mean to love and care for yourself so that you can do all of these things in healthier ways with everyone
Right.
else. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I also, I think at the top she said the whole thing around when you mobilize your network
Mm-hmm.
and when you don't. And
Yes.
that also resonated because there's the piece about being a burden, which I think I don't have that issue too much. Like
Mm-hmm.
I might have had that issue or I have it in certain spaces, but I don't really have it around business. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I'm gonna, mobilize, like I'll call people
I
or,
have
I
it.
always,
That's why we're business partners.
well, I mean,
I have
that's
that
why,
issue.
yeah, I
I'm
know.
growing. I'm trying to figure it
Yes,
out. But
but
it is definitely the yin to my yang when it comes to that. Like, because
right.
I'm always in my head feeling that. But go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Well, no, I mean, and it's important to then have the people who balance that for you,
Yes.
you know?
Yes. Yeah.
But I think what I thought about when I was thinking about the trust in mobilizing the who, because people will all be like, yeah, call me when if you're in the situation, call me. And if blah, blah, blah. And I actually really mean it. And I think I mean, I know that if people reach out, I definitely am doing the thing. And I I think what I heard was people have tried,
Hmm.
and when their network doesn't respond, it then sends
Yeah.
you down this path of, well, then I'm not going to ask.
Yeah.
I'm not going to keep asking. People say they want to help, but they really don't or can't,
Yeah. Or can't
or
and maybe.
say that they can, but they really
Mhm.
can't. And is it
Yeah.
just lip service?
Hmm.
So no, I think that was really important. And it's something that's going to stay with me. And we might even bring it back because I think
I agree.
figuring out how to either not care so
Hmm.
that you do it anyway,
Yes.
because you actually don't know what people are going to do and what they're not
Exactly.
going to
And we
do.
don't know
And
what's going on for them. Why, sometimes
yeah,
we're not
that
privy
too.
to the reasons why or why not, and how to take that less personally, perhaps, at times. But
Right.
but the whole mobilizing your network, this is, where I was a year ago versus where I am today. There's a lot of things that have happened. We probably gonna have a whole moment where we can talk about some of that. And the thing that stands out is when you're in a moment, and I'm going to go back to being laid off at the time that I was laid off, when you're in a moment, there are all of these internal conversations that could be positive or negative that are a soundtrack that's going on for you. And I think that's where the things like, I'm embarrassed to share this, or I
Right.
don't I don't want to be a burden comes up, and all of those things. And I feel like having these conversations more openly is one of the ways to be like, everybody be going through that. It really ain't that serious.
Exactly.
I mean,
Right. Or,
but you don't
I
know, or
mean,
you don't think, or it is that serious.
or it is
But it is that
actually,
serious,
it is
right?
that
It is
serious,
that
but
serious,
you're not alone.
but you're
And
not
you're
alone.
not an
Yeah.
anomaly. And
And
you're
you're not
not weird.
exactly.
There's nothing wrong with you. You didn't do anything wrong.
Yes.
Um,
But I for
yeah,
sure feel this system wants that to happen because it keeps us in our silos. Right. And
yeah,
so, we're going to share the information. We're going to figure out a way, because I think one of the things, like you said, going to this session together with other
yeah,
people in our lives that
right.
are, that are there, it's going to be, I think that's really meaningful. And
Yeah.
there is a quote that I had for this generosity one that's from Entozake Shange. We remember her from back in the day because we did one of her
Back in
plays.
the
But
day.
anyway, it's a whole other thing, blah, blah, blah. So it just felt really resonant. And we just spent time this weekend with two of our dearest. Marquita was one of them, closest friends from freshman that we knew since freshman year of college. But what this quote says is that bring the gifts that you have, the gifts that you have been given, and the gifts that no one's seen yet. And I just feel like that's, to me, that embodied generosity. And I am on this, there's just so many things happening. I'm on this journey of like also like naming my gifts, because I think the
Right.
ability to do that um, will send a vibration out to others that will bring them to you. So that's my
Well,
little.
I'm always naming my gifts.
Listen,
I think I
I
know all my
know,
gifts.
yin yang, girl, yin yang. But I obviously have them, right? So it's just naming
Of
them
course.
naming them
Well,
and claiming them, though, because it's like for
well,
me, it's like
claiming them. And I was going to say, or even hearing what other people are
exactly,
naming for you as the
yes,
gift and accepting
and
it.
accepting it. And that's so funny. That's actually the work from my therapist this week. But I
Oh,
digress. And we're going to end
fantastic.
on bring the gifts that you have, the gifts that you have been given, and the gifts that no one's seen yet. Thank you so much for being here. We hope that this landed. If you're the strong one, you to go to, we think that this whole day was for you.
Amen. All right.
Amen.
Thank you so much and have a great rest of your day.
That part.
That part.
Thanks for listening to That Part, powered by 45 Lemons, the culture company. We hope something you heard today moved you, challenged you, or reminded you that you're not alone. You can catch us every Tuesday at 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. Eastern on Dream Vision's 7 Radio, or get to know more about us and what 45 Lemons is building at www.45lemons.com. Got a story, a moment, or something you want help untangling? Email us at thatpart@45lemons.com to be featured in The Fix. We read every message with care. Until next time, stay soft, stay sharp, and remember, that part is the whole truth.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.